funds predate his tenure. Former education director gets jail term for bank theft. And in business, Dangote says petrol supply remains steady. In the world of sports, Super Eagles storm AFCON quarterfinals. In entertainment, Beazle sounds alarm on Lagos stench. Now the news in full. Suspected terrorists have abducted at least 4 passengers on the busy Isanlu-Isin-Omuaran road in Kwara State. The attack comes barely 48 hours after more than 40 persons were killed in Kwara and Borgu local government areas of Niger State. In Niger State, bandits also attacked police border patrol post at New Kali village, setting fire to the officers' accommodation and destroying farm produce. No casualties were reported, but the incident has heightened fear among local residents. Residents of Kwara and Borgu local government areas are fleeing their homes following rumors of further attacks. Villagers say they face constant threats as bandits operate from Borgu Games Reserve and surrounding areas. Former presidential candidate Peter Obi condemned the killing and called on the federal government to halt the normalization of mass violence. The APC National Chairman, Professor Tawe Yewatda, described the attacks as barbaric and assured Nigerians of government's efforts to end terrorism and banditry. Meanwhile, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria is raising concerns over the rising cost of living across the country. The union says many workers are struggling to cope with inflation and daily expenses. In a statement, TUC leaders called on governments at all levels to increase workers' allowances. They say the move would provide temporary relief until a new minimum wage takes effect in 2027. The Congress stressed that Nigerian workers should not be left to bear the burden of economic reforms alone. It also urged stronger social welfare measures to protect workers' incomes. The TUC appealed to workers to remain united and committed to the labor movement. It pledged continued engagement with government and employers of more worker-friendly policies. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service, Dr. Zach Adedeji, says the new tax laws are designed to drive economic growth and strengthen national institutions. He spoke during a television interview on Monday. Adedeji dismissed fears that the tax reforms could be used to target political opponents. He insisted the new framework is guarded by transparency, due process, and national interest. The NRS chairman praised the federal government for pushing ahead with reforms despite political pressure. He says the changes aim to fix structural weaknesses and build a fair, predictable tax system. Adedeji added that the reforms will be implemented in phases to encourage compliance and boost public trust. He says the goal is a tax system that supports investment and delivers visible public benefits. Moving on, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has resumed the nationwide continuous voters registration exercise. The move follows the conclusion of the first phase, which ended in December 2025, and allows eligible Nigerians to register, transfer polling units, or update personal details. During the first phase, nearly 2.6 million registrations were fully completed, including online and physical enrollments. INEC said the interval between phases was used to display the voters' register for claims and objections. Meanwhile, Labour Party members in the Federal Capital Territory staged a protest at INEC headquarters. They demanded the inclusion of their candidates in the February 21 area council elections, citing a court order in their favor. INEC officials acknowledged the conflicting court orders but assured the protesters that the commission would act in accordance with the law. The commission also noted that further registration remains suspended in Anambra State and FCT until new dates are announced. Moving on, a political rift has emerged in Kano State between Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf and the NNPP leader, Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. The tension comes as Yusuf prepares to defect to the All Progressive Congress, while Kwankwaso opens a loyalty register to guard alliance within the party. Governor Yusuf has secured support from the Kano House of Assembly and all 44 local government chairmen. However, most NNPP federal lawmakers from the state have yet to commit to the move. The defection, originally scheduled for January the 5th, has been postponed to January the 12th to allow consultation with lawmakers and key stakeholders. Vice President Kashim Shettima and APC Chairman Nentawe Yewatda were expected to receive Yusuf into the party. The move is seen as a strategic gain for the APC and could shift Kano state politics ahead of the 2027 elections. Kwankwaso has rejected the defection plan and may move to the African Democratic Congress in protest. A fire outbreak caused panic on Monday afternoon in Abulegba axis of Lagos State. The blaze gutted an open space recycling site and damaged nearby buildings before it was contained. The Lagos State Fire and Rescue Service says it received a distress call shortly after 1 o'clock. Firefighters from the Agege and Abesan station were immediately deployed to the scene. The fire spread to a nearby bungalow and a mini church within the area. One adult female suffered shock during the incident and was treated by emergency responders. Officials say the fire has been fully extinguished and investigations are ongoing to determine the cause. Residents have been advised to follow fire safety regulations to prevent similar incidents. And to some power story, Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu has clarified that allegations of 128 billion naira in missing public funds predates his appointment. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project had urged President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to investigate the allegation diversion of funds from the Ministry of Power and NBET. Adelabu's office stated the audit report cited by Serap relates to the 2022 financial year, while he assumed office in August 2023. The ministry confirmed that the current administration had no involvement in the alleged missing funds. The minister reaffirmed his commitment to transparency and accountability, promising full cooperation with investigations into legacy issues. He stressed that his focus remains on delivering stable and reliable electricity to Nigerians. Adelabu's office highlighted his record of probity and adherence to due process in both public and private roles. The statement reassures Nigerians that the ministry remains focused on infrastructure development and power sector reforms. Moving on to other stories, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has nominated Senator Magnus Abe and energy expert Adegbite Ebiowe Adeniji as chairman of the NUPRC and the NMDPRA boards. He has requested the Senate to confirm their appointments along with 21 other nominees. Abe, a former two-term senator for Rivers Southeast, previously served on the NNPC board. Adeniji, a lawyer with over 30 years experience in energy, was formerly a World Bank advisor on oil and gas policy in Nigeria. The president's nomination also include executive and non-executive commissioners for both boards. These appointments follow the recent confirmation of the agency's chief executive officers. Tinubu urged the Senate to approve the nominees quickly and called on appointees to discharge their duties professionally. He stressed that they must uphold regulatory standards in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. You're still watching the midday news right here on Voice of the People television. We'll go on a very short break now. When we return, more stories and, of course, the analysis segment of the news will be up next. Please do stay with us. This is African News on Voice of the People television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeats, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People television. Stay with us.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as they hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before. From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
This is African News on Voice of the People television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeats, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People television. Stay with us.
2564 is coming up on Barney 9, right?
The 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded?
We're glad to have you back. It is still the midday news right here on Voice of the People television. We'll go straight to the analysis segment of the news. And joining us now to make sense of these stories and more is Mr. Okpeyemi Benjamin Ogulami, who is a public and political affairs analyst and commentator. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Okpeyemi Benjamin.
Okay. Good afternoon to you, and thanks for having you.
Thank you so
having me
much.
with you today.
Oh yes, thank you so very much, and glad to have you. Also, we have virtually also joining us this afternoon, Mr. Opoluwa Taiwo. He is the executive director, Africa Bridge Initiative. He's also a public and political affairs analyst and commentator. Mr. Opoluwa Taiwo, thank you so very much for being here, and good afternoon to you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Good to be here.
Thank you so very much. Well, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Opoluwa Taiwo. Interestingly, the president have nominated these two individuals, and I'm talking about Senator Magnus Abe and, of course, Adegbite Ebiowe Adeniji as the chairman of NUPRC and, of course, NNDPRA boards. Now, I don't want to go back and forth with the situation from the previous chairman of the NNDPRA, which of course Dangote Refinery. But let's look at these two individuals. From your perspective, what light at the end of the tunnel should we be expecting from these two gentlemen should the Senate approve their nomination later this day?
You have practically asked a dynamic and a dicey question. Nigerian energy sector is supposed to be doing well. Nigeria is the giant of Africa, or Nigeria is supposed to be the giant of Africa. And one of the prerequisites for being a giant in the global world these days, apart from technology, is the energy sector.
Right.
Apparently, we are underplaying our game in the global village as a result of our maladministration and underperformance purview of different political office holders. Being that as it may, having the likes of Senator Magnus Abe is not the problem. The challenge is, what are the structure within these two parastatals that Magnus will be overseeing? What are the structure that is being put in place? Like a particular lawyer, Dele Farotimi, put it clearly that if you bring former President Barack Obama into the political space of Nigeria from America, it will fail fantastically based on the structure we have currently. We are not expecting something fantastic from Magnus Abe. Mark my word, we are not expecting anything fantastic. It all depends on the structure within the energy sector.
Now, I'd like to still stay with you, Mr. Opoluwa. If you say we're not expecting anything fantastic, in other words, you're trying to say that there might be some level of political interference because he was once a senator. Is that what you're saying?
I've said it and I'm saying it once again. Having to screen and to approve the appointment of Magnus Abe will not be a challenge, but the challenge will come from his performance. His approval will be seamless because he was a senator.
Right.
So he might be asked to take a bow because they already know him. Except if there are some people that are following him from his village or from his political home. But beyond that, I am not too comfortable with us settling the energy sector with the likes of political figures in Nigeria. If we have more than 100 significant professionals within the energy sector of Nigeria, how come we are recycling the old political figures within that sector? How come we are not seeing the likes of professionals from ExxonMobil? How come we are not seeing the likes of professionals from Shell?
Huge question.
How come we are not having the rooted professionals, those who have their KPIs, who can monitor their KPIs? Because if you bring a politician into NNPC, he's coming without a KPI. He's only coming with his political party affiliation. And that means nothing fantastic can come out.
All right, then.
I may be wrong, but that is my view.
Well, let's just stay optimistic on these appointments. Let's take this conversation to Mr. Okpayemi Benjamin. Once again, thank you so very much for being a part of the analysis segment of the Midday News. I want to come to you on the path of the Petroleum Industry Act compliance, line by line. Now, with this nomination by the president, will the Senate publish a clause-by-clause compliance check for each nominee, their skill, their independence, their conflict of interest, so that Nigerians can see whether this board truly meets the Petroleum Industry Act letter and spirit?
Thank you for this question. I really follow the line of Mr. Okpodua when he was talking about having experts in the field. I think it is necessary to also pinpoint that when the president was contesting for election, it was stated that he would bring technocrats into governance. Technocrats will come, they will do wonders to the economy and all. But it's so unfortunate that all the appointments we're seeing these days are not based on being a technocrat, or they are not based on merits. They are not based on the successes of the individual in the past that has to do with the field or the portfolio given to the person. It's just based on, I understand this part quite all right, that when Nigerian government gives you job, it's not giving you job for performance, but come. The idea is just come, let's find a place for you to also hit. And mind you, you need to make money for the government. Meanwhile, when you're making money for government, it is not for the people, it's for the political class to satisfy their own bidding. So I do not expect the Senate also to follow the lines of what policies or what regulation we need to abide by before we give the post or the office to an individual. So I expect from my own end, I expect nothing from them.
Well, I like this part that you've told, because just like I asked earlier, should the Petroleum Industry Act provisions be followed book by book? Are we going to see any appointment? But just like you mentioned earlier, experts in these fields have also demanded for strict adherence of appointments. Why do you think, and I'm still staying with you, Mr. Okpayemi Benjamin, why do you think the government at this point is not even looking at that same industry to shun out whoever would be a board member, board chairman, I beg your pardon, rather than go further to bring politicians who clearly do not even know more about this industry?
You know, when Nigeria is built not on merits at this time, we need to make that clear, that at this time, if you really mean well for the country, you will get technocrats and experts on board. Our politicians in government today are looking for self-gratification, self-interests, and not national interests. Whatever we want to do, why we want a politician to be there, it will follow our dictates and our bidding. It will follow whatever who has chosen him there wants. That's what the person will follow, and not one principle from one book or one regulation or whatever the body is saying. And to be sincere, a government that cannot adhere strictly to the dictates of constitution cannot adhere to anything stated in any regulation, anything stated in any organization. No government as such, they cannot follow it. So I need to state clearly that the states we have at this moment, the people we have at the helm of affairs in this country, they are not really planning to make the country better. They are only planning to amass wealth for themselves and their cronies, give offices to them, let them make their wealth, and then leave the office after 4 years.
All right, then. Well, let's move away from this conversation and head straight to talking power issues. Interestingly, the Minister of Power, I'm talking about Adebayo Adelabu, has said that the 128 billion naira alleged missing funds predates his tenure. Now, let me come to you, Mr. Opeoluwa Taiwo. Interesting conversation here because Serap wants recovered funds to plunge into the 2026 deficit. And of course, the question now would be, from your perspective, do you think that the Finance Ministry and, of course, the Power Ministry can co-publish a recovery to budget tracker that can help Nigerians understand when and where a particular figure is missing, and then, of course, run up a deficit afterwards to making sure that we do not have these kind of misappropriation again in the nearest future? Do you think that is possibly going to happen?
All right, thank you for that question. So for me, I have discovered that to whom much is given, much is expected from the political space. Now, every 4 years, we have what we call the electoral cycle in Nigeria. But beyond the 4 years electoral cycle in Nigeria, after each of the election, the next thing is governance. And governance does not work with our sentiments. Governance works around economy, around budgeting. So what does that mean? We are talking about figures this time around. So if 168 or 128 is allegedly missing or has not been properly appropriated,
right.
So the next conversation is, what is the budget of Ministry of Power in Nigeria in 2025? How much has been disbursed by the Ministry of Finance to the Ministry of Power? And out of those figures that has been disbursed into the Ministry of Power, what are the projects that has been executed by the Ministry of Power? It is in that process you can know how much is missing. So what Serap is asking, they are asking for the right question at the wrong time. Because as of today, we do not know how much the Ministry of Finance has disbursed to Ministry of Power. And as well, we do not know how much, as part of the 2025 budget, how much the Ministry of Power has already expended in order for us to know the balance that will be pulled forward into the deficit of 2026 budgets.
Okay, now I'm still staying with you, Mr. Opeoluwa. Don't you think that one of the reasons why Serap is practically talking about this 128 billion naira alleged missing funds that, of course, predates to 2023 is the fact that they are also looking at the part of the same administration and the same leadership, that is of Adelabu clearly, to have possibly shown to Nigerians the projects, vendors, dates that the ministry, of course, and they led that within 14 days, so to say. Don't you think it's a call for Adelabu to also open up the books to tell Nigerians how much he has spent thus far when he was when he is, or he was, and he is, of course, still in power? Don't you think that's the reason why they're calling for this particular missing fund?
All right, so that's a good one. You have come from a very crucial angle, which I'm very much interested in. Apparently, a general is always a general. So I am an ex-banker, and I understand budgeting.
Okay.
And I also understand project financing. And I also understand the difference between personal finance and public finance. Now, when we talk about the ministry, there are different departments and agency under each ministry. So the analysis here is that it is possible, I am not holding brief for Adelabu as a minister. It is possible that whatever figure Ministry of Finance has released to him, part of those figure might be used to settle debts of previous administration. That is why I started from the note of the fact that how much has Ministry of Finance released to the Ministry of Finance for the Ministry of Power. It is at that level you can know the gap. If Ministry of Power is giving you any figure now, and I can bet you, Ministry of Power will not give you figure. Quote me, Ministry of Power will not give you figure because they will still end up pushing you back to Ministry of Finance. Because whatever figure Ministry of Finance might have released in the 2023 or 2024 budget into the Ministry of Power, Ministry of Power can come out to claim that 70% of those figures were used to cater for previous administration. And who are you to blame him? So what are we supposed to do? Every administration is expected to submit reports ministry by ministry. We have not been doing that. So all of us, we are crying at the wrong time. That is my point. Sarah is calling for the right figure, but it's coming at the wrong time.
All right, then.
So all of us must wake up to understand that there's difference between politics, administration, there's difference between governance and electoral cycle.
All right, then. Let me take this conversation to Mr. Opayemi Benjamin. Well, the situation right now is becoming very clear that Adelabu clearly wants to be accountable for his own tenure. As it stands, if the losses predated to 2023, what binding premeditation plans, targets, deadlines, and sanctions has Adelabu signed to clean the books? And who audits the progress monthly within these ministries and parastatals in the country?
One thing I've observed before now in Nigeria is this, that in the preparation of budget in the country, you have to state the outstanding, how do I put it? Outstanding financial plan. And then you have to state how previously what was the expenditure and the revenue of the year, of the past year. Then you tell us your plan for previous year. Now, it's so sad that when a government comes into office, you just see them running their own affairs. They don't check into what was in place and what had been in place before their own taking over of office. People just want to run business, the business of their own life. They want to run Nigeria the way they run the business of their own life. That's just what we've seen so far. So who had been in the office, everything should be traceable. Who signed social documents? Who approved it? We should know. But Nigeria is not an organization. When I said it's not an organization, there is no organization. Everyone just wants to come, spend and use the life of the people in governance and the total population. They want to just operate based on their own intuition, not minding principles and ethics of office. They just want to run it. So that's why we could be saying that it predates 2023. What happened during during Goodluck era? Buhari cannot even say. What happened during Buhari era? Tinubu cannot even say.
Should we blame that? Should we blame that to data accountability not being visible?
I'm saying there is no data. There is. We have Ministry of Statistics. We have Ministry of Finance. We have the CBN. They have data. The problem is our politicians cannot separate, just as it has been said, they cannot separate politics from governance. Once they are in office, they still want to keep operating as politicians that they are.
Well, it's
They
interesting.
cannot even have a proper administration of office. That's what we're saying.
It's interesting you've mentioned politicians and, of course, not separating politics from governance. And I'm going to bring you to this political story, which is making the round in Kano State. I mean, one of the states that, when elections come to play, might be considered a powerhouse when it comes to results. Kwankwaso, the former governor of Kano State, clearly is in a rift with his, well, I want to call, should I call him a predecessor? Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf. All of them within the NNPP. Well, we hear that Governor Yusuf, it's about moving to the All Progressive Congress, just like some of the governors have done before now. What do you think might be the political tension within the Kano state political landscape should Kwankwaso, who again is seen as the leader of the NNPP, move to the ADC, plus the governor of the state moving to the APC? Mr. Okoyemi Benjamin.
The politics of Kano State, like every other states that we have in the country, you see, everybody has its own kingdom, and they are bringing their kingdom unchecked. They want to bring the same kingdom into the states and run the people's life the way they want. The governor of the states is an APC, and Kwankwaso is thinking.
It's an NNPP.
Sorry, yes, NNPP rather. Kwankwaso being the leader of the NNPP, now thinking of crossing over to another party, which he has not said, maybe APC or their new formed ADC. It means that there won't be unity of purpose in that place. But what I've seen so far is everybody is just running things without ideology. What is the ideology of our politicians before they start mixing around? And I believe politics should have to do about the people. It has to do with the people. And then what do we want to offer? What are our political class offering? The APC, the PDP, the Labour. We need to ask, what are they offering to the people? That's one. That's my own angle. Whatever they like, let them do. Let them cross to any political party of their choice. But what do they have to offer? That's one. The second thing, what ideology are they propagating to the states? That's another thing. Nigerians don't even know, all these politicians don't even know the basis, or let me say the calling or the standard of their political party. They don't know. Everybody just wants to run things, and when they get to office, they guess whatever they want to do. There is no plan, there's nothing. Let them cross to anywhere, I'm less concerned. But what I'm particular about is, what do they have to offer? And what is the ideology? Many don't know.
Well, huge question there. Let me take this same question to Mr. Paulua Taiwo. Interestingly, as it stands, governors are moving to the APC. Some have said it's about time that they move to the ruling party. But from your perspective, let me find out, what is the economic implication of defection to the state, Kano State, that have never been an APC state before now, owing to the fact that the political rift between the political juggernauts in that state is what is playing out here? What's the economic implication of that?
All right, so Kano State is meant to be a democratic state, but apparently Kano has been seen to be an oligarchy state. So one man passing on the baton to a stooge or to a mentee, and the baton continues without any proven track-based democratic process. However, Senator Rabi Kwankwaso is known to be a political juggernaut in Kano State. But he has a challenge in terms of jumping or decamping aimlessly from one party to another, from PDP to APC, from APC it decamped or cross-carpeted into NNPP. Now is known to be a national leader of NNPP. However, because of their or his oligarchy nature, now is afraid that his stooge or mentee, Governor Abba Yusuf, has now cross-carpeted into APC with or without his permission. So that is why everybody is crying more than the bridge.
Oh, well.
So this means that the economy and the developmental process of Kano State will be at a standstill because of all of this jumping and cross-carpeting here and there. It will be at a standstill. Development will be halt.
All right.
Growth will not be seamless.
Now, before I let you go, maybe in 30 seconds, what's your position about the fact that the chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Services, I'm talking about Dr. Zach Adedeji, has said that the new tax laws are designed to drive economic growth and strengthen national institutions. What's your position with that as well?
All right, for the new Nigerian tax law,
yes,
it is long overdue. That's number one. It's long overdue. Number two, everything about Mr. President is revenue, revenue, revenue. So wherever you have revenue, there will be seamless growth. What we all need is to comply. But while we are complying, our ears and eyes must be open for accountability and comparative analysis of the revenue generated versus the projects implemented. That is where I need the citizen to wake up to their responsibility. That we will pay our tax, but you must deliver the promise as on time.
All right, then. Thank you so very much, Mr. Opolua Taiwo. Well, maybe for just another 20, 30 seconds, Mr. Payemi Benjamin, your position as well on the new tax law. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay. All right. I guess this is where we have to draw anchor on the analysis segment of the midday news this beautiful afternoon. We've been talking virtually with Mr. Opayemi Benjamin Ogunlami, who is a political and public affairs analyst and commentator. And also we had with us Mr. Opolua Taiwo, who is Executive Director, Africa Bridge Initiative, and also on this table, a public and political affairs analyst and commentator. Mr. Opolua, thank you so very much for being here. We'll take a very short break right now. When we return, more stories on the media news will be up next. Please do stay with us. Glad to have you back. It is still the media news right here on Voice of the People Television. Now to more stories. The federal government has announced new measures to tackle examination malpractice across the country. The reforms will apply to major exams conducted by WAEC and NECO from 2026. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunja Lausa, says the changes include improved question randomization and serialization. This means candidates will answer the same questions but in different sequences to prevent cheating. The government has also banned the transfer of students into SS3 and introduced new national guidelines for continuous assessment. Authorities say strict deadlines will now be enforced nationwide. In addition, a unique examination identification number will be issued to candidates for better tracking and accountability. The government says the reforms are aimed at restoring credibility and public confidence in Nigeria's examination systems. Moving on, an Ikeja Special Offences Court has jailed a former director in the Lagos State Ministry of Education, Olawale Faleti. He was convicted for stealing 48.9 million naira from Access Bank. Justice Romano Shudi found the 64-year-old guilty on 5 counts following prosecution by the EFCC. The court ruled that the theft was deliberate and carried out over a period of time. The judge said Faleti carefully planned the withdrawals and showed no genuine remorse during trial. He stressed that crimes against financial institutions undermine public confidence and must attract firm punishment. Faleti was sentenced to 2 years and 5 months in prison on each count to run concurrently. The court also ordered him to refund the outstanding 45.9 million naira to Access Bank. And from that particular story, we'll go straight talking some business. Dangote Petroleum Refinery has dismissed reports claiming it is shutting down for maintenance. The company describes the claims as false and misleading. The refinery says production remains stable and uninterrupted, with a capacity to supply up to 50 million liters of petrol daily. It adds that current stock levels can meet over 20 days of national demand. Dangote Refinery explains that routine maintenance on some units does not affect overall operations. Other critical units, including those producing petrol, diesel, and jet fuels, are fully operational. The company has reaffirmed its ex-gantry petrol price of 699 naira per liter. It also urged Nigerians to disregard misinformation and rely on verified information about fuel supply. Still talking business, Sahara Power Group says Nigeria's electricity sector is becoming more attractive to investors. The company links this to government reforms and progress in settling long-standing debts in the power industry. Group Managing Director Kola Adesina says Sahara Power plans to increase electricity generation to between 6,500 and 7,000 megawatts. He explains that the expansion will be driven by investments in gas and renewable energy over the next few years. Additional adds that clearer policies, improved exchange rate stability, and easing inflation are helping operators plan with more confidence. He notes that these changes are restoring investor trust across the power value chain. The Sahara boss also says the company has paid over 70% of its power sector loans despite industry challenges. He assured that Sahara remains committed to delivering reliable and affordable electricity to homes and businesses nationwide. And in sports, Nigeria Super Eagles delivered a commanding performance, crashing Mozambique 4-0 at the African Cup of Nations. The win sends Nigeria into the quarterfinals in emphatic style. Victor Osimhen led the charge with 2 goals, while Ademola Lookman opened the scoring and provided key assists. Akko Adams sealed the victory to cap a dominant display in Fez. The result is Nigeria's biggest knockout win at AFCON in years and underlines the team's growing confidence. It also keeps alive hopes of making amends for missing out on the World Cup. The Super Eagles will now face either Algeria or the DR Congo in the quarterfinals on Saturday. Coaches say the focus remains on maintaining momentum as the tournament enters its decisive stage. Still talking sports, Strasbourg manager Liam Rosenauer has verbally agreed to become the next manager of Premier League club Chelsea. He described the opportunity as one he could not turn down. Rosenauer made the announcement during a press conference at his current club in France, confirming talks with Chelsea are ongoing. He expressed excitement at the prospect of landing the London-based team job. The move comes ahead of Chelsea's preparation for the remainder of the Premier League season as the club seeks stability after recent managerial changes. Rosenauer's appointment is expected to be formalized in the coming days. Fans and pundits alike are watching closely to see how the former Strasbourg manager adapts to English football. Chelsea hopes his leadership will help the team improve results and compete for domestic and European honors. And to wrap up the media news, we go straight talking some entertainment. Afrobeat legend Fela Anikulapo Kuti is set to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award at the 2026 Grammy Awards. He will be honored alongside music icon Whitney Houston, Chaka Khan, Cher, and Paul Simmons. Fela, who did not win a Grammy during his lifetime, has received multiple posthumous recognitions, including the 2025 Grammy Hall of Fame induction for his 1976 album Zombie. His sons, Femi and Seun Kuti, accepted the awards on his behalf. The Recording Academy presents the award to artists who have made outstanding contributions to music. Fela's work, blending African rhythms with jazz, funk, and soul, led the foundation for Afrobeat and widespread generations worldwide. Fela's music continues to influence global artists from Beyonce to Burna Boy, and his legacy extends into art, fashion, and social activism. The 2026 Grammy Awards take place Sunday, February the 1st, with the Lifetime Achievement Honors presented at the Special Merit Awards ceremony on the eve of Grammys Sunday. Moving on to some entertainment stories, Nigeria's music executive Bizel Osikoya has raised the alarm over sanitation issues in Lagos State. He says the city is now struggling with a serious smell problem. On his social media, Osikoya called on residents to take actions to clean up their neighborhoods. He stressed that everyone has a role to play in making Lagos livable again. His remarks quickly sparked reaction online, with many agreeing that the state's environment needs urgent attention. Some pointed out that previous warnings by public figures were ignored, worsening the problem. Experts say tackling Lagos sanitation issues require both government intervention and community efforts. Meanwhile, Oshikoya's message is clear. The city can only improve if its residents take responsibility. And with that entertainment story, we've come to the end of the midday news right here on Voice of the People Television. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are at Voice of the People TV, and on all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Thank you so very much for being a part of this broadcast. I am David Edwin. Do have a good afternoon.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng